Hey there, awesome people. So this video is going to be different from my usual content, but this is a topic that is very personal to me, and I feel it can serve as a beacon of hope for others who may share this disorder, or uh, this video could be beneficial to those who know someone who has it or and want to further understand in order to support their loved ones. Um, so Today I'm wanting to talk about borderline personality disorder, which is also often referred to as BPD. Whether you're a family member, friend, or someone living with BPD themselves, my goal is not only to provide the facts, but also share my own journey with this disorder. Um, I hope this video can provide a better understanding of BPD and give hope to those who need it. I want this video to help provide understanding, empathy, and most importantly, hope. So, I want to first start with a disclaimer, because this is very important with these kind of videos. Um, so, please know I am not a licensed mental health professional, and the content of this video is based on my personal experiences and whatever research I've been able to gather throughout my journey with BPD and with making this video. Um, Borderline personality disorder is a complex mental health condition, and individual experiences may differ from my own. The information provided here is for educational and awareness purposes only, and should not be considered a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If you or someone you know is struggling with BPD or any mental health concerns at all, please seek guidance from a qualified healthcare provider or mental health specialist. Additionally, this video may contain sensitive topics related to mental health, self-harm, and of which I will have to censor due to YouTube's guidelines. I do not wish to take away from the seriousness of these topics, and I apologize if censoring ends up doing so. Viewer discretion is advised, and I encourage you to engage with this content responsibly and seek support whenever needed. I strive to promote understanding and empathy for individuals living with BPD, as well as to combat myths and stigmas surrounding this condition. However, the information presented may not reflect the most recent developments in the field of mental health. Thank you for watching, and I hope this video serves as a valuable resource for those seeking information and support related to BPD. So, I want to let you all know what we'll be covering today, just to give you a brief rundown of what you will be seeing in this video. We'll be first covering what borderline personality disorder is, and then we'll go to common symptoms, go over my personal experience living with BPD, just give you a brief insight of what it's like for some individuals. Then we'll go over stigmas, myths, and misconceptions, because there is unfortunately a lot of those out there, and it's important to debunk those and give the facts that are around the topic of the stigmas, misconceptions. Then we'll go over some common treatments that exist out there, touch on my healing journey, and then I'll give you some tips and tricks that can help you with coping with BPD, and then I'll just wrap up the video at the end. And yeah. So, what is borderline personality disorder? BPD is a mental illness characterized by a profound struggle to manage emotions. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, um, this loss of emotional control can lead to increased impulsivity, self-esteem issues, and strained relationships. Some common symptoms with people with BPD. There is fear of abandonment. The individual may go to great lengths to avoid any hint of abandonment. Unstable relationships. This instability can affect various aspects of life, including friendships, romantic partnerships, and career relationships. Distorted self-image. Individuals' sense of self may be shaky or unclear. Impulsive behavior. This can manifest in reckless driving, spending sprees, and other risky activities. A very common one for people with BPD is self-harm tendencies. There's the biggest thing with BPD is the intense emotions that individuals with BPD experience. Individuals with BPD often go through intense emotional roller coasters in short time frames. Loss can, so someone cutting the person out of their life can make the individual feel like their whole world is crumbling around them, or that the person that cut them out had passed away, when it's just the end of a friendship or something like that. Just to give a glimpse on what intense means. So there's also chronic feelings of emptiness, and then another symptom is disassociation. Feeling disconnected from reality is also just a very common experience. It is essential to remember that not everyone with BPD will exhibit all of these symptoms, and the way individuals experience the disorder can vary greatly from person to person. So, what is my experience with living with BPD? Just to give you all a better understanding of what it's truly like living with BPD, I just want to go ahead and give you a glimpse into my personal experience with the disorder. So back in August of 2020, I found myself hospitalized for the third time, and during that stay, I received a formal diagnosis of borderline personality disorder. It just so happened that I had been researching this disorder because the symptoms sounded similar to things I often experience in my day-to-day. So after leaving the hospital, I went on a quest to gain a deeper understanding of this disorder. I turned to highly recommended books on the subject, and one of in particular had a profound impact on me. It highlighted some things celebrities have shared about their BPD diagnosis, and that made me feel less isolated and normalized the roller coaster of emotions that often come with BPD. I'd like to share some of the symptoms that I grapple with the most with you. I often struggle with intense fluctuating emotions, disassociation, anger issues, harm, and tendencies. and a profound fear of abandonment is, yeah. Um, on my more difficult days with these symptoms, I become easily irritated, hypersensitive, and my emotions feel like they're cranked up past maximum. Uh, I also struggle with derealization and feel as if I'm living in a self-constructed world, and I question my reality on those days. Um, Before I received proper treatment, these symptoms were a daily struggle, straining my relationships and pushing people away. Simple arguments felt like the world was ending, sadness felt like drowning, and anger felt like boiling fury. Uh, Coping was a challenge, and I often felt or resorted to self. My lowest point came when my first long-term relationship began to unravel. Uh, Previous relationships had been short-lived due to my emotional struggles. As this relationship crumbled before me, desperation to try and salvage it and the crushing belief that I could not live on without my partner led to my first attempt. 2 weeks after my discharge from the behavioral health hospital, he ended our relationship and I found myself back in the hospital. The fear of abandonment was suffocating and it felt like my whole world had come to an end. The emotional turmoil left my whole body aching, especially my throat and chest. Another challenging symptom of BPD that I frequently battle with is splitting. When this occurs, I oscillate from idolizing someone to vehemently disliking them in a matter of moments. During these episodes, the tiniest actions from that person can be maddening, despite them not typically bothering me. Um, I also often struggled with people just not understanding what BPD is actually like. So I had briefly touched on how BPD has impacted my relationships. I had only touched on the symptoms that caused that. I want to share how else it has affected my relationships because sadly there are many terrible misconceptions and stigmas surrounding borderline personality disorder, and this can cause people to become apprehensive when they find out someone in their life has BPD. I want to address some of these now, dispelling the myths and providing you with the facts you need to replace them. So, here's some of the stigmas and misconceptions. Big one is some people believe that BPD isn't a valid diagnosis, and they believe that people with BPD are just simply sensitive and dramatic. However, BPD has been a recognized disorder by the American Psychiatric Association, or the APA, for nearly 40 years, listed in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or the DSM. Another thing that many people believe is that only women can have BPD. Though statistics show a higher prevalence among women, BPD is not exclusive to any gender. It is stated by the National Alliance of Mental Illness, that around 75% of diagnosed individuals may be women, but it is important to note that cultural and societal factors can alter these statistics. Um, and just to let you all know, NAMI is a uh, an alliance or like group of people um, who whose goal is to destigmatize mental illness and provide support to those who have it. Um, I also want to go over that uh, some people believe that BPD is a very rare condition. And going off the same article from NAMI, about 1.6% of the general population is diagnosed with borderline, but it's important to remember that we could say that about all mental disorders. For comparison, NAMI states that 19.1% of people in the US have anxiety and 8.3% of people have major depressive episodes. So BPD is a rare condition, but I feel it's misrepresented or misconstrued to be rarer than it actually is. I hope that makes sense. I'm sorry if I am not. Another stigma is that misconception is that BPD is only caused by childhood trauma. Though childhood trauma is often linked to borderline personality disorder, it is not the sole cause. Genetic predisposition and neurobiological factors also play a role in its development. A very big stigma, is that people with BPD are manipulative and attention-seeking. People with BPD often struggle with intense emotions and a need for validation. Labeling them as manipulative is unfair and harmful, as it glosses over important factors and implies pre-planning and malice behind behaviors that most likely had neither. I very much dislike that people believe this, but many people believe that, aside from people with BPD, are nothing serious. People who have BPD have high rates of as high as 10%, and many more engage in attempts and forms of please take any threat of suicide seriously and do your best to get the individual help. Another sad one, people with BPD aren't capable of having healthy relationships. Anyone can have a healthy relationship, but it is important to know that with proper help, individuals with BPD will have an easier time developing healthy and stable relationships than they would without. People with BPD are dangerous. Though more prone to outbursts of anger, people with BPD are more likely to harm themselves than anyone else, than they are to hurt anyone else. Stigmatizing folks with borderline as dangerous is unhelpful and not to mention outright harmful a lot of the time. So the next one, BPD isn't treatable. I ran into this myth a lot when I was first researching borderline for my own understanding. And so, yeah, contrary to popular belief, BPD is treatable and symptoms can go into remission with the proper treatment. One of those being dialectical behavioral therapy. And some people believe that DBT is the only treatment for BPD. However, dialectical behavior therapy, also known as DBT, is a therapy designed by Marcia Linehan to more specifically target BPD symptoms, but that does not mean it is the only treatment for BPD. I'll be getting into treatments for BPD soon. I'm gonna go ahead and touch on some treatment options that exist. There are 7 major treatment options that I know of for BPD. There's medications, dialectical behavioral therapy, cognitive behavior therapy, mentalization-based treatment, schema-focused therapy, transference-focused psychotherapy, and system training for emotional predictability and problem solving. I'll take some time to explain what each of these treatments are and how they are effective for treating BPD symptoms. Some medications that exist for people with BPD are, the first one is antipsychotics. Those are often used for treatment. This is because they are believed to be effective in improving impulsivity, aggression, anxiety, and psychotic symptoms that are often seen with borderline. Another type of medication that is often used in treating BPD are mood stabilizers. These are used with the goal of treating affective instability and impulsivity. The National Institute of Health cites multiple different studies that provide evidence of topiramate, lamotrigine, and valproate semisodium. Those are all different types of mood stabilizers. And it said that and the studies showed that those are effective in treating BPD symptoms. Topiramate and lamotrigine were shown to work well for treating symptoms of aggression in BPD. One other study showed that lamotrigine was also effective at treating other symptoms such as interpersonal problems and anxiety. In a study investigating the effectiveness of valproate semisodium, which treating BPD, it showed that it is effective at treating interpersonal sensitivity and aggression. Another form of treatment, this is a big one. Dialectical behavior therapy is a type of therapy that targets maladaptive behaviors and aims to replace them with healthier coping skills that can be grouped into 4 main umbrella terms. There's mindfulness, interpersonal effectiveness, emotion regulation, and distress tolerance skills. And then there's cognitive behavior therapy. This one focuses more on helping you use reasoning and critical thinking to help you see problems in a more logical way. Mentalization-based treatment. This one focuses on helping you understand your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors as well as others. Like others' own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Schema-focused therapy. This one uses CBT skills, or cognitive behavior therapy skills, and builds on it with techniques and concepts from other psychotherapies. This therapy focuses on self-defeating patterns or schemas and aims to change that by using cognitive, behavioral, and emotion-focused techniques. Transference-focused psychotherapy. It is an intensive form of therapy that is heavily dependent on the relationship between the therapist and the patient. The patient could meet with the therapist up to 5 times a week, and during these sessions they would explore how past experiences influence their present. They will focus more on the here and now than the past. Treating BPD with TFP, the goal is to help bring the all or nothing thinking into a more nuanced way of thinking. Now, what is STEPS, or system training for emotional predictability and problem solving? It is a 20-week manual-based group treatment program that has 3 main components. There's psychoeducation about borderline, emotion management skills training, and behavior management skills training. Now that we touched on some treatments, I want to cover my recovery because I feel it'll help you see that recovery is possible and that it isn't too far out of reach for those who have BPD, because I felt very hopeless when I first was diagnosed, and I don't want anyone to feel that way ever again. So my journey began with a series of ups and downs. Well, I had been in therapy on and off since I was in elementary school. It wasn't until my first hospitalization following a attempt back in December of 2019 that I received the extensive care that I was needing. Please note, receiving whatever kind of care you need does not require a crisis. There are resources available for you to access any help at any stage of your journey. So please reach out to professionals or your insurance, and they can guide you through your options. So after my 2 suicide attempts in December of 2019, I was put into an online group and given a comprehensive manual for our sessions. However, life took me to a different state and I couldn't finish that treatment plan. Fortunately, I found resources in my new location and I began seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist, eventually joining a partial hospitalization program, or PHP. and later transitioned to an intensive outpatient program, or IOP. In these programs, I learned valuable CBT skills and made a significant difference, and this progress was noticeable to those around me. Um, Through these programs, I started openly discussing my emotions, understanding why I'm feeling them, and effectively managing my emotional responses. I learned to use healthy coping skills instead of resorting to and toxic behaviors. Later, when I moved across the country to live with my partner, I discovered an online DBT group, which further enriched my journey. I also began one-on-one therapy with a professional who is well versed in CBT and DBT skills. And now, after nearly 2 years of these programs, my partner observed significant improvements in my well-being. The frequency of my self behaviors has drastically reduced, and I haven't required hospitalization in 3 years. I've achieved much greater stability, even though I do have challenging days. A considerable amount of my progress came from my own efforts, applying the skills I learned and adhering to my prescribed treatment plans. So what advice would I give? Some tips I can share for coping with BPD are the following. Please don't be afraid to reach out to someone for help. It's important to have a group of people who can support you when you're needing support. So yeah, be sure to reach out to those that you are comfortable talking to. Keeping a diary where you focus on what you're feeling and why is also very good. It'll help you see where you're at on your healing journey. It'll help you remember things to talk to your therapist about, as well as your psychiatrist or just any mental health professional. Another good one is to plan ahead when you know a difficult time is coming up. So if you struggle bad at specific dates where traumatic things happened, you can possibly be like, hey, can I see you weekly instead of every other week, to your therapist, or you can reach out to friends and family, be like, hey, this is a difficult time for me, please check on me when you can to make sure that I'm safe. And just those are just some ideas of how you can plan ahead. A good one is to make a self-care box. This can be filled with maybe essential oils that you really like the smell of that calm you down, plush or like a stuffed animal or plushie or some kind that that really calm you down. Comforting movies and shows can be in that box. Anything that you find comfort in. You can also seek out support groups. Those are very important to have, whether it be just something that you found through NAMI, or maybe a DBT group, because those can be helpful too. Yeah. Big one. Find specialists and follow your treatment plan. Um, yeah, just do your best to get in with a professional who can help you through your mental health, and uh, listen to them if you um, and don't be afraid to ask questions. Um, so here's some good support lines that you can reach out to. I'm gonna list a website of international crisis plant lines. Um, we'll put a website that has a list of them. Um, yeah. I hope that this video was helpful for you all. Before I go, I'd like to leave you with this message. Whether you have BPD, supporting a loved one who has BPD, or simply looking for a better understanding of this disorder, know that recovery is possible. Um, my journey is just one example of the transformative power of treatment, support, and self-determination. Um, Spreading awareness and helping others understand BPD can challenge the myths and stigmas that exist surrounding this complex disorder. It's so important to provide support to those who are combating mental illness. Thank you for watching this dive into a topic so personal to me. Feel free to leave any comments and questions you have down in the comment section below, and remember that you are strong and that you are never alone. Um, Take care.